Welcome back to the Power in Your Voice podcast. We would like to first say thank you to those who tune in week after week, those who share the link on various platforms. Thank you. Y'all, this season, we are excited to bring you some hot and new topics. We are ready to push you further into your destiny. If you feel stuck or even overwhelmed, I want you to tune in and have a mind of expectancy, because we believe that if you challenge it, it will change.
Welcome back to the Power in Your Voice. It is always our pleasure to come before you. I want to jump into this topic again. We were talking about pressure on our last podcast, and we are back here with this tonight because this topic is so important, because people are literally going through so many things and trying to function under pressure. So tonight, I have my team here with me, and we're going to dive into this pressure again. We realize that people are losing their loved ones, and they're trying to learn how to continue to function under that pressure. Children are going astray. Parents are dealing with so many issues, and they're still trying to make things happen in their home. So let's talk about this pressure again, team. Y'all, I got Jalen again with us. Jalen, let's talk about this pressure tonight. Come on, hit me, Jalen. Talk to me.
Hey, y'all. It's good to be back. I missed y'all last week in the conversation about pressure, but last week was so good. We talked about how all pressure isn't bad pressure, and how pressure can push you into where you need to be. But y'all, let's be honest. If I'm talking for myself, I hate pressure. I literally hate pressure. It does not feel good. I don't want it. And so when I was thinking about the podcast, I was thinking, okay, when you gain a little bit of weight, you don't like that pressure in your pants. And that pressure don't feel good. So it's going to make you either go work out, or you going to just kind of like try to put it off until you can't even button your pants no more. You know how after you eat, you got to unbutton your pants because you're too full. So, we don't like pressure. So that's the place I was in, you just get me, you got a little happy weight. My happy weight got to go. Yeah. My pants were getting a little too tight. So I had to start hitting that gym. But yes, y'all. So for real though, pressure does not feel good. That's a joke, but pressure really does not feel good. You don't like it, but it does cause you to either make a decision, or you can just try to stay in the same place and endure the pressure until it becomes too much. So that's my thoughts on pressure.
I like that, Jalen. You you made it where it could be sarcastic, where we can laugh about it. But like you said, a lot of us don't like pressure. We're coming to the end of school year, and people are cramming, trying to get that schoolwork in, and students are trying to finish paperwork and trying to finish the end, and that causes pressure. Pressure can either make you do something about it, or pressure can push you behind. I think sometimes when people begin to feel pressure, they try to overlook it. And that's when the steam causes us to do something. And when that steam causes us to do something, y'all, oh my God, you can release that pressure somewhere in the wrong place. Come on, David Young, talk to me about this pressure. Oh my goodness, David Young hit me.
Yeah, I like that. That analogy was funny, but it's so true, because the fact that pressure can really either make or break somebody, it makes me think about like successful people, because a lot of successful people, they reached a point of pressure, right? And it's crazy to me that there were probably a lot of people who could have been successful, but when they got to that point of pressure, they didn't handle it right. because you know, like the Steve Jobs.
Wow.
I don't know all these people's names, but like the people from who made Google and all these big companies, you know, even you, Apostle Linda, like I'm sure you got to a point in ministry or anything where you felt pressure, like stuff was just coming from every side, and you could have either gave up or you could have like, you know, you could have pushed and kept going, and you handled the pressure correctly.
Yes.
Because those famous, or not famous, but those successful people, they got to a point, maybe they was working from out of their garage, but they had a bigger vision in mind or something like that, but they had pressure on them, you know, to be successful. And even when the hard times came, they dealt with it right. And now we know them, you know, as successful men and women.
Yes.
The other people, you know, they
That's
just
good.
handle it right.
That's good, David Young. You talked about, you brought me into the equation. I like that, because I'm going to tell you, especially when new things are coming out, and the way that the ministry is going these days and time, we had to go through pressure during the pandemic. It changed the way that we worship. It changed so many things, and how we had to go and learn new technology that we can still get the word out to our peoples, because we were so used to being in a building. And so God changed the structure just a little bit, and we had to learn some things that we didn't think that we would ever have to use. And I'm here to tell you, it was pressure, because you had to make sure that your Wi-Fi was right. You had to make sure that whatever technology that you use, you had to learn all of those things. That was a lot of pressure, because you had to make sure that you kept your people. A lot of times, a lot of pastors lost in that season because we didn't know how to handle, or we were not equipped for that storm that came in our life. And oh my God, it was pressure. Yes, it was. And I'm so grateful that the Lord just kept on allowing me to learn. And I had young peoples in my life that was teaching me the new method, the new technology. Man, I'm 60 years old. I don't know nothing about all this pressure and learning all this technology. My children laugh at me now trying to learn some new things. It's just, you know, this pressure is real, especially when you are not used to using it. Can you imagine, Jada, when elderly people go to the doctor's office, they don't use no computers, and now they got to sign in on a computer and don't even know how to really type their name in it. Jada, talk to me about pressure. Come on, talk to me.
Okay, y'all. So when I've been just listening to y'all speak, I've been thinking of how pressure is so closely associated with transition, and how y'all were talking about just like with COVID, how, you know, you had to switch things up to adjust and really and still exist during COVID. And marriage, Jalen, I was like, amen, Jalen, in the background, because that happy weight when you get married, you have to transition, and the pressure. I would like to talk about this real quick. I was watching this pastor that was telling us to write the vision for every important area of your life. And as I started doing it, I started thinking to myself, wow, these areas are pressure points for me. Like my marriage, my finances, my health. And you know, I feel like that's universal for everyone. These points, your walk with the Lord, those are pressure points for you. And it also reminds me of the scripture that says, rejoice in trials. What's the scripture, babe? Rejoice in trials. Yeah. Because it births character and endurance. Yeah, endurance. And I just thought about how the pressure moments in my life have made me the person that I am today. And I try my best to rejoice in pressure. I don't like it either, but it's helped me along the way.
I love it, Jada. You brought out some very significant things. You start talking about marriage. You start talking about that weight, as Jalen was talking about. Y'all, that weight, and that weight is a pressure, trying to still maintain. Who wants to get on a treadmill? Who wants to go on a walk? Man, that stuff is real pressure. Y'all, being married is pressure, especially in these days and time. I was just watching David Young, you brought up the stars, and man, they change wives and husbands like it's like marriage don't matter anymore. And marriage is so important. And so even when you're just trying to be with your spouse and trying to make it work, and you have all of these people that's supposed to be role models to you, and they can't even maintain a marriage after 10 years, 20 years, they're walking away. That's a lot of pressure right there. So, can you imagine that? Come on, Renice, talk to me about this pressure. Let's talk about this pressure, because these are some very valid points that we're making tonight.
Pressure with marriage. That's challenging, because you always want to look good to your spouse. You always want to your spouse to feel good about you. You always want to be everything to your spouse. Our society shows us one thing, and when you're dating is like everything. You don't see nothing wrong with that person. That person is your everything. Ooh, they fine. They the smartest thing that ever happened. You can't tell them they got no wrong in them. And then when you get married, oh, now I'm wrong. now, okay, now you grabbing my side like you grabbing that fat roll. Like, okay, come on. And then you get so used when you were dating for the way my mother taught us, we didn't live with our boyfriend. We lived with our husband. So our husband never saw us get dressed. Our husband saw the full package when we walked out of the house.
I like how you bring in that, yes.
And so now you are with your spouse who sees the crust in your eye when you wake up in the morning. They smell that breath when you wake up in the morning. They don't.
You tell me you're not like Beyonce. I woke up like this, looking good. I have to use that Beyonce. Yes.
So things begin to change when you get married, because now I see your flaws.
Yes.
Now I smell your gas. Now, life changes. Life changes, and pressure. You still want to be that same perfect person to that spouse that you were when you were dating. But the truth of the matter is, they get to see you for who you really are with everything. Now, they're not blinded by who you really are, because the thing that didn't bother them in the beginning frustrates them to the max now.
Yes.
And you have that pressure of wanting everything to be perfect. And it's not that it's not as great as it was when you were dating. It's just that you now live with this person, and this is supposed to be your forever person. And you have challenges from the outside world that we allow to influence what is our reality when we're supposed to be an influence. And that's a lot of pressure with many days. So marriages, hang in there. Don't worry. Just pop that mint. Get up, brush your teeth. Stop passing gas under the cover. You're going to make it.
I love it. I love it. That was some good points for some married people. That was very good. I love it, because you realize that you talked about when you were dating and they didn't get the opportunity to see you get dressed because you came out full. And now that you're living with that person, they get to see the real you. And a lot of times when we get to see the real you, maybe we don't like it anymore. Maybe we find all of the faults in it. And that's why people can't stay together, because they realize that I don't like this part about you, versus walking through it. That pressure is real, you all. That's a real valid point. Ebony is got to be dealing with pressure now. Her husband is deployed. And in that deployment, now she's dealing with the household by herself, where Peter usually is there, but now, with him gone. Ebony, talk about that pressure.
I thought I was gonna have to not to talk about that, y'all. That pressure is something serious. They had some really good points today about this, talking about those pressures. But one of the things that stood most for me, because I have been reading, from time to time, just kind of keep that knowledge going. But they were just talking about, how do you deal with pressure? How do you take control of that? And many times, and I say this scenario that I'm about to use because, under pressure, even what I'm dealing with right now, you can find yourself in situations that you don't want to be with or be in. And one of the stories that I was reading about pressure, it was just a simple, quick story of how a person ended up in a situation with a gun to their head. And they said all they could think about is, how did I get here? Because of pressure. I never was intended to go that route, but how did I get here? It's just with stress, me handling everything with the household. I have to know how to take control of it. I have to know how to handle it, or I will find myself in a place sitting, wondering, how did I get here? People that are, commit suicide or have those thoughts. They don't do it on purpose, but it's so much stress, it's so much worry. And then they look again and say, how did I get here? But what I want to leave with you, because a lot of the topics and everything was covered tonight, so I'm not going to add too much context to it, because there was really a lot said. But there's a quote that says, love is more powerful than stress, and hope is more powerful than your past. And that is how you got to take upon pressure. You have to know, I'm more powerful than this. I love myself. I love my situation, even though it might not be the greatest. So that's how I have to overcome it. I'm going to hope for the best. Yesterday wasn't great, but tomorrow will be. Today will be. So that's what I would add to, pressure.
Wow. I love that, Ebony. Yes, go ahead, Jayla.
I think with everything that you were saying just now, the thing that I could think about the most was finding your release. How do you release your pressure? Because if you don't know how to release it, and it's just constantly being built up in us, it's like a soda bottle. And if you shake it, once you take that lid off, it's gonna explode. So how do you release that pressure, whether that's going to talk to a friend or talk to a sibling or a parent or a therapist, or whether you go pray or go work out, you have to find a significant outlet before you do reach that point and you're ready to do something that's detrimental, because you've been bottling in so many things.
Jalen, that's very good. That's why it's very important that you be around people that will speak positive things into your life, that they recognize the signs that things have changed. You have changed. You can tell a person in pressure, as I get ready to leave the podcast tonight, today, whatever time it may be for you. I'm coming back to it. I want you to know next week I'm going to talk about it. We're going to deal with this pressure, because the question was, how do you deal with pressure? How do you begin to release it? You got to tune in for next week so you can hear how to deal with your pressure and how to release it. So my thing is, again, get around somebody that's going to help you go through what you're going through. It doesn't matter whether you are in a big place, a small place, or wherever you may be. There's someone out there to hear you and listen to your situation. Y'all, it's been our pleasure to come before you and talk about this pressure. Tune in again next week. God bless you. Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in this week. Our prayer is that you be encouraged. Know that life can be hard at times, sometimes even unbearable. But know, when we are weak, God is strong. Let's take off the world's expectation of us and ask God, what do you expect of me? We ask that you like, comment, and subscribe. Have a blessed week and see you next week.